I want to switch gears for a moment, sort of related to what you can do with a strategic pause or a more reflective approach that helps you take that breath and then be a little clearer on what you want to do next because you know where you're going. And so some of you did a version of this. How many folks were at, was it the Mentor Summit, Roberta, where I spoke, or SAC a couple years ago where we did pivot points? Maybe it was SAC in New York. How many folks were here when we did that activity? Lisa, you were there, right? Small handful. Okay. So we're going to do some variation on that. It's what I call pivot points. And forgive my writing. The longer I talk, the worse the writing gets. Pivot points. So this is something that I think instead of doing it on your own, just to shake it up, I'd like you to actually take a couple minutes and talk to the person next to you, or if you don't have somebody right behind you, somebody behind you. Group of two or three. And I want you to do this. I want you to reflect a little bit on the pivotal experiences in your life. You can start with really early stuff, like a lot of who we are today is based on where we come from as children in our childhoods. But you could just start with where you started your business if you don't want to get that personal and you just want to focus more on kind of more recent or last number of years. But I want you to really think about what I call the pivotal successes. So those are the activities, decisions, or events in your life that you feel pretty positive about, and they've helped you become more successful more rapidly. And what I call the pivotal regrets. And regrets, use the term loosely. This doesn't necessarily mean something that a poor decision you made or something you did badly or like a mea culpa, but something that happened in your life, a decision you made, an event that occurred, a path you decided to take that maybe didn't work out so great, but it's still pretty relevant to where you are today. It's relevant either because it's held you back, or it's relevant because you've used it to grow and to be happier and more successful as a result. So what are your pivotal successes? What are your pivotal regrets? And because we don't have tons of time, I'd say, limit it. Maybe come up with 2 for each, 2 or 3. You don't have to spend a ton of time on this. And the important part is not only are you going to identify and share it with the person you're going to be speaking with, I want you to think about what has the impact of that experience been. So I've worked with teams where they run through this exercise and that, at first they think this is really kind of fluffy and we don't have time for this. We need to talk about, the business of the day. But by the end of the day, the team has gotten to know one another and gain insight into themselves in a way that they never had before. And this is the part that does it. Not only the sharing of some history and some of who they are, but figuring out, well, what does it matter? So what? And the people share personal stuff. They share things about suicides in the family and cancer and divorces. And you guys don't have to share that if you don't want. You share what you do, don't share what you don't. But why does it matter? And what have you done with it to be the business owner, the consultant, the expert, the person you are today? And we're going to talk a little bit about that because I think that actually becomes a springboard for what you want to do tomorrow.